Hello and welcome to the Lord of the Rings, the Living Card Game Progression Series. I'm the White Tower Watchman. This video is going to be a quick appendix on my Flies and Spiders playthrough, which got a little crazy. And also, I want to discuss a major kind of rules concept, alright? So, first we'll start with the major rules concept, and then at the end I'll tack on a few little things about Flies and Spiders. If you watch that playthrough, you can stick around and listen to that. So, there's this thing that's been on my mind a lot lately, and I want to make this part of my series of rules clarification videos for new players. So if you're a new player and you have the core set, Dark and Mirkwood, playing some of those quests, learn the ropes of the game, really good quest to learn on, by the way, this probably will never come up, alright? But there's a couple of quests where it might. The idea of what order the active location and the quest card are resolved. So if you go to that FAQ, it'll say all progress is placed simultaneously. So let's say I made 12 progress here, or let's say I made 15 because that's how much I made in the actual playthrough. So you make 15 progress. I think it was 15. Anyway, you place it all simultaneously, and the FAQ says you place up to the quest points here, and then you place the rest of them here, but it's all simultaneously placed. And then, if that beats the quest card and explores active location, you resolve all of this stuff first. So let's say there's not in this quest, but let's just say hypothetically there was a quest card 5. I would go on and it might have a win revealed and all this stuff, and I do all that stuff first, and then I do the active location responses, and then maybe any ancient mathams or things like that I have on the active location, this kind of thing right here. Okay, now the designer of this game, Caleb, has ruled much more recently than the latest FAQ that it's actually the opposite order. Okay, so ignore that FAQ ruling, and not only is that a good ruling, it fixes so much with the game, and it also thematically makes more sense. It works like this. You assign all the progress at once, but you kind of resolve everything on the active location first, and then you move on to the quest card. Okay? But then that got me thinking of two quests that have exceptions. This Flies and Spiders, and then another one in the Dream Chaser cycle. Thing in the Depths. This one says, progress cannot be placed on this while the spider's glade's in play, and that's this card. And then the Thing in the Depths says that you can't place progress on the quest until this helm location is explored. Alright, so what happens if they're the active location, and if you place all the progress simultaneously, that ruling, while it is good and I think vastly improves the game, for a couple of exceptions, you might run into a thing where, well, if I place all the progress simultaneously, I can't place progress here while this is in play, right? So I have to stick around another round and play another round, right? So originally I thought that's what I would have to do, and I was just going to add a part 2 to the video and play one more round to get 3 progress, right? And it was perfect because the deck was reshuffled, so it was perfect, I didn't know what was coming, so it's just a random shuffle. Now, and I was just going to tack one more round on, assuming we'd probably make the 3 progress. But they have a little exception to the rule. You can't, I think the word when he says it's placed simultaneously, I think what he's saying there is it's assigned simultaneously, and there's just this, you have to think of it almost like the way it's just intended to work. There's this split moment where you resolve everything that's going on with this first, and then this. So it's floating, boom, this is gone, and then boom, you place it there. So I think the more proper way to say it would be it's assigned simultaneously and then placed, because this actually is legal. You can quest out of this quest on the same round that you explore the spider's glade. If you put 9 progress here and 3 here, you can do this in that order and get out of here. So it's the amount of progress you're going to make, let's say 15, it is locked in, and then you assign it simultaneously, you place it here, do everything that has to do with that, then place it here, do everything that has to do with that. So that's how the intention of the ruling is supposed to work for this quest and Thing in the Depths. The reason that Caleb made the ruling change, which I agree with, and I think is a great. That's kind of the way I always kind of assumed this game worked anyway. The reason he did that was because he didn't want to get into a situation where, let's say, you're in the battle of what's it, siege of Caer Andros, right? So let's unload this encounter really fast and let's load up Siege of Caer Andros. Let's say you're in the Siege of Caer Andros, right? And like you have 5 quest cards here. Okay? You have 5 quest cards. So you start with quest card 1. Oops. Start with quest card 1 and you have 3 locations, all right? So you add the locations of the staging area, okay? And you've got 9 quest points into siege quest. Now, do you see how these say when these are explored, after the banks is explored, remove stage 2 from the game. After the approach is explored, remove stage 3 from the game. After the citadel is explored, remove stage 4 from the game. So you have an opportunity to remove like some of these from the game on a prior quest card, and then you can end up just doing these 2. If you happen to explore all 3 of these, good luck. You can do 2 siege quests and just win the game, and it removes these from the game because you've like done the battle at that location, and it's taken some of the willpower battle and siege questing out of the responsibility for you to complete. So the reason he has the ruling of it's placed simultaneously and resolves from the location to the quest in that order is because he doesn't want a situation to come up where, let's say you've done with quest card 1, and let's say you're on quest card 2, and you're on the banks, all right? And let's say you make 12 progress. He doesn't want a situation to arise where you make 3 progress here and 9 progress here, and then as soon as you make that progress on this response, after the banks leaves place, explore location, remove stage 2 from the quest deck if able. He doesn't want that other 9 progress. So like this is explored, you still have 9 progress to put here. The game doesn't allow for you to let that 9 progress land here. It doesn't allow for that to happen. So like essentially the progress is assigned simultaneously to the from the moment you total willpower versus threat is assigned simultaneously to the active location and this specific quest card. If the active location happens to leave first, you lose that 9 progress, but you do immediately advance to quest 3. You just don't get to put 9 progress on it and then advance to quest 4, okay? That's why he ruled it that way, and I think that's a good ruling. It just creates those 2 exceptions in Flies and Spiders and Thing in the Depths, where you have a location that says you can't put progress on the quest card until that location's explored. But for those 2 exceptions, you can quest out the same round you explore those locations. It's just like, think of it as like a microsecond, a little window of time where it hits that location first, then goes on the quest card. But it's assigned to that specific quest card and can't go on to another quest card after that. So for that reason, I don't have to play another round of Flies and Spiders, thank goodness, because I don't want to. This quest gives me problems, and I probably would lose in like some heartbreaking fashion. So, but anyway, that's the rules concept I wanted to discuss for new players. And then the last 2 quick things I'll say is in that Flies and Spiders playthrough, if you watched it, there was one round where, since I had so many attachments on build, we had his willpower boost up here, I was switching. The first player always controls him. I was switching him back and forth up here just to keep him out of the way down here because things got really messy. And then the program here, Dragon Cards, wasn't registering him as a hero because he's not down here with the heroes. So there was one round where he should have had 1 more resource on him, which technically means I didn't even have to raise my threat by 1 to make this guy conscious. at the very last second. I didn't even have to make him conscious to win the game because we didn't need his willpower. He was out of the quest. I just did it for fun, but even if I was doing it for fun, I wouldn't have had to raise my threat. We'll just say I did anyway, because that's how I played it. But either way, Bilbo had one more resource on him. It's a little minor thing. And then the other thing was there was one round where I put it's not in here anymore because I unloaded the encounter and it was registering poison as an encounter. But I put one of my cards as poison on Gleowine from the old Tom Noddy spider at the end of the round. Or maybe it was just from, no, I think it was from just a spider attack. It doesn't matter because the old Tom Noddy poison goes on heroes only. But regardless, I put poison on Gleowine after I drew a card because I drew a card or drew 2 cards with Ori, whatever. And then I realized, oh, I forgot my poison. I need to put a poison on somebody, and I put it on Gleowine. I had 4 cards left in my deck when this was all going down. So the two cards I drew with Ori, I think, were something like the Strider's Path and Forest Snare, and then the card I put under him was Strider's Path. But the order that would have happened I would have had this Forest Snare would have been under him as poison, and the 2 Strider's Paths would have been in my hand. So I would have had 2 Strider's Paths in my hand, and 1 Forest Snare, and 1 Forest Snare down as here as poison, instead of the way I actually played it, where I had 2 Forest Snares and 1 Strider's Path in my hand, and 1 Strider's Path under him as poison, because the last 4 cards in the deck were Strider's Path, Forest Snare, Strider's Path. And it doesn't matter, because I didn't play any of those cards, and the game ended like immediately anyway. But just, if we want to be absolutely nitpicky 100%, then yes, this would have been on him as poison, and that Strider's Path would have been in my hand. I didn't play any of the cards anyway. Bilbo would have had 1 more resource on him. But the main thing I wanted to talk about was the concept with the active location and quest card. So if you are a new player and you're confused about that ruling, the FAQ is incorrect, and the way Caleb's ruled it since then is correct. You resolve everything to do with the active location first, then you resolve everything to do with the quest second. The progress is assigned simultaneously and is assigned specifically to the quest card that you're on. If you move to another quest card via exploring the active location or some other effect, you don't get to put the progress on the next quest. And lastly, if the quest card says you can't put progress there while the active location's still in play, you can still assign it there because it hits like a slight microsecond after the active location's explored, and that's more of just the designer's intent ruling. Like you're supposed to be able to approach it that way, which I'm grateful. I think all of those are reasonable, good rulings that make the game healthier. So that is this video on the rules concept of the relationship between progress, the active location, and the quest card, as well as a couple little minor snafus I want to talk about on Flies and Spiders, because that quest got so messy, and I'd rather you watch a 10-minute, 5-minute, 10-minute video than read like 4 pages of me typing out in the description box all these little things that don't affect the end of the game. It don't really matter anyway. So I just figured I'd mention them in passing. Alright, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.